It's a new year, and what that usually means is that people are looking to get into new things, whether that's a new hobby or a side hustle. And if you're watching this video, then obviously you want to learn how to make t-shirts. Now, whether you want to do print on demand or print your own t-shirts, and whether you want to do it just for fun or if you want to make a little money, I'm going to show you some of the basics. In this video, I'm just going to run through the hows, the whats, and the whys. And then in the series, we'll get a little bit more into detail and what each process entails. I'll show you how to set up your first canvas, which design programs that you might want to use, and then I'll even show you how to make a few simple designs in different programs. The first thing I want to talk about is your options for making shirts. So the first thing, and the thing that's probably the most popular right now, is print on demand. And there's two different branches of print on demand. So the first way of doing it is with a marketplace like Redbubble, Merch by Amazon, or one of the other ones where they handle everything. Basically, what you're going to do in those is you're going to submit a design, upload it, make a title, and put your keywords, and then they're going to handle the rest. They're going to do the printing, they're going to do the customer service end of things, and when you make a sale, you make a small commission. And that's probably the least amount that you're going to make from any of the places, but it's the most hands-off. The second version of print on demand is where you run your own store and you do all the customer service. You don't do any of the printing, but you do have to handle the rest, and you do have to pay money for each thing that needs to get printed as you get paid. So that could be Etsy, it could be a Shopify store, it could be just doing it in person and selling it to people in your community. The advantages of print on demand is that there is no investment upfront in equipment. You don't have to learn how to print your own products. You don't need to hold inventory. You don't need to ship things. The only thing you're doing if you're running your own store is the customer service and making the designs. The down part about print on demand is that you have absolutely no control over the quality of the product that's being shipped. You're trusting another company to take care of you and your customers and your brand and put out the best product possible, and that doesn't always happen. The other downside of print on demand is that it's more expensive than printing things yourself. You don't have the upfront cost of equipment, but each piece is going to be more expensive than if you printed it yourself. So that means you're making less profit on each sale. The other option, and this is the option that I do myself, is printing everything on your own. So for that, at the very least, you're going to need a heat press. I use a lot of DTF transfers these days. I have no plans on getting my own DTF printer or equipment. I know a lot of people want to do that. There's a whole lot of maintenance that goes along with owning a DTF printer, and I'd rather leave that to the professionals. It's not like an inkjet printer where you just plug it in and play. There is definitely a lot more that goes into a DTF printer, and it's expensive to begin with. So for me, it's easier to just order a gang sheet. And a gang sheet is just when you take a bunch of designs and put it on one print. And those come in all different sizes. And usually the bigger the print is, the more cost effective each square inch is compared to the smaller prints. In addition to DTF printing, there's also dye sublimation. And you can outsource the prints for dye sublimation, or you can get into your own dye sublimation printer. The big advantage to dye sublimation is there's a number of things that you can print with dye sublimation. So not only do I do t-shirts with dye sublimation, but I also make tumblers and mugs and keychains. During Christmas, I made ornaments. And there's a lot of different things that you can do with dye sublimation. That just requires an inkjet printer, preferably an Epson printer if you're on a budget, and special dye sublimation inks and dye sublimation paper. And then one of the oldest and most tried and true ways of printing shirts at home is with heat transfer vinyl and a vinyl cutter. That's another thing that you'd have to buy. You probably spend at least a couple $100 on the cutter. But the big advantage of that is they're pretty easy to use, and they're really great for making prototype shirts. If you have an idea and you want to see it on a shirt, you can just grab some vinyl, cut it out in whatever color that you want, and print it within a few minutes. As far as software for graphics goes, in 2025, you have so many options, it's ridiculous. I use Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. That's sort of the industry standard for design, but it's a little bit cost prohibitive. There's a monthly subscription associated with that. There's also Affinity Photo and Affinity Designer. And those ones, you only pay a one-time flat fee. I think each one's less than $100. And there's also web-based design resources that you can use. And those would be things like Kittl or Canva, where they have a bunch of templates that you can work from. And they also have built-in design software into those. There's some free stuff you can do with those, but then there's also things that you need to pay for. There's also Creative Fabrica, where you can buy some design elements and some pre-made designs for your business. So there's really a ton of options when it comes to design software, and there's something for beginners all the way up to professionals. A really cool aspect of this is that even the design software for beginners has a lot of elements that come from the more professional software. So as you learn, you can grow in the type of software that you're using. So you can start with one of the basics that's for beginners and then work your way up to something like a Photoshop or Illustrator or Affinity Photo or Affinity Designer. Over the course of this series, I'm planning on showing you how to make a simple text design, a photo-based design, and then a few other designs that incorporate some text and some graphics together. I'll walk you through some of my processes, the way that I think, and we'll talk about trying different things and how you really need to find your own sensibilities and design towards your strengths. And we'll also talk about finding things to design and figuring out how to make designs that people are going to like. I wanted to just keep this one short, like and subscribe so you can follow along with the series. In the next video, what I would like to talk about is the equipment that you would need to start making shirts at home. So we'll start with the heat press, and then we'll talk about sublimation printers and vinyl cutters and just some of the different options for different budgets. I'm very big on starting with the smallest budget that you can, learning everything that you can learn about it, making money, and then upgrading to better equipment. And I honestly believe that even if you're planning on just doing print on demand, that it would really benefit you to at least get a heat press and order some DTF transfers and learn the process and learn what you're doing and learn how the colors that you're designing with on your computer actually print in the real world. And I think if you're hands-on and you really learn some of that stuff, you can put out an even better product than if you're just designing and sending it off and never seeing what your final product looks like. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.